Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start. The Java card technology is in all of your pockets, in your payment cards, in your ID documents, your mobile phones, and maybe your badge to access your company's building. And wearables are a new form factor that have gained traction over the last years. So this webinar is exactly about this hot topic. My name is Timo Lisk, and I'm part of the Java Card Business Committee. And with me today is Alexander Summerer from Giesecke and Devrient, Mobile Security, and he's an expert in this topic. Alexander is Director of Product Management, and he's in charge of enterprise product portfolio, including different Java card-based form factors, such as fobs, tokens, and wearables. This year is the 25th anniversary of the Java Card Forum. And we see that Java Card has become a really pervasive technology with shipments over 6 billion units per year into different segments like telecommunication, payment, identity, and access. So in this webinar, Alexander will explain how the Java Card platform can be used to implement payment and enterprise applications on wearables in a very flexible and secure way. This is already the third webinar of our 2022 webinar series, and you can watch the previous two webinars on our homepage, javacardforum.org. And for this webinar, we will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. You can enter them into the chat box during the presentation, or you can wait until the presentation is finished when we will unmute the microphones. You will also receive links to the webinar recordings and slides by email shortly after the presentation. And now, no further delay, Alexander, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Timo. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to have this presentation today in this webinar for you. I can tell you, I'm working for G&D already something of 15 years in different areas. In the last 6 years, I was strongly involved in projects which are linked to wearables. And of course, we use the Java Card platform to make it happen. And today I would like to provide you some insights, what we did in G&D and how this was involving the market. So let's start a little bit with an intro on the market. As you can see, contactless payment and wearables as market is growing. So we have already trillions of transactions which are contactless. E-commerce, no question, and this is basically also quite rising. There's an outlook that in 10 years, literally almost every purchase will be somehow e-commerce. We have already seen that the market with wearables is exploding, and it is a huge size, and mostly linked to payments, tracking, ticketing, access control. And then besides the contactless payment and wearable market, we see also the need for security. Especially with large companies, they more and more face security threats. They have basically damages because of data breaches and mostly linked to weak credentials. So there's a need for security and ideally hardware-backed security. And there is a growth of wearables. And it's actually quite easy to link both together as a security vendor who is implementing hardware-based solutions like G&D. And we did this basically in a couple of scenarios that I would like to show you. Before I make a deep dive to our wearable solution in G&D, I would like to explain where this is coming from. On the left-hand side, you see the challenges. We have basically challenges in terms of different use cases like ticketing, vendor information, shopping, access control, online authentication, issuance. If you look in every use case, there are obstacles, and customers come to us and ask us how you can improve the process, how we can make the thing smooth and secure. And we said, all right, we have solutions. We can actually provide you mobile ticketing in a very smooth way. We can provide you tracking information, contactless payments, easy access, fast login, and also the issuance can be solved somehow with a solution which we call tokenization. And we came up with a wearable solution, wearable enablement solution. So we have basically developed own wearable products, or we helped to develop wearable products with partners like OEMs, having something like smartwatches, wristbands in the product portfolio. And we actually implement, based on smart card chips, Java card enabled smart card chips, solutions for mobile ticketing, tracking, contactless payment, easy access, fast login, tokenization. We provide SDKs and everything what you need to implement applications on the chip. We have a Java card platform. On the Java card platform, you can host applications for different use cases, and you can manage these with the provided SDKs. So there's, of course, I mean, you have to consider different things if you implement solutions like this. There's a user's perspective and there's a service provider's perspective or OEM perspective. From a user perspective, there's a clear requirement. It must be seamless. The user interface must be seamless, as easy as possible. Second point, of course, there's a privacy concern in the market, and this concern is also, let's say, getting stronger and stronger. And there is a data protection need. As mentioned before, data breaches is quite a risk and a financial loss. And for this, we need to consider this. We need strong security, but it should be invisible in the sense of it should be not complicated to handle. It should basically be somehow under the hood, but the solution must be safe. And of course, this anytime, anywhere, any device. There is basically a kind of notion that whatever device you have in your hand, all your applications should be available. Everything what you do in terms of use cases should be possible with this device, anytime, anywhere. From a service provider OEM perspective, clear requirement, reduce complexity. Complexity is involving costs, and basically, if you reduce it, we can reduce costs. Number one requirement for sure. We want to satisfy the customers as service providers OEM is also number two requirement. So basically, customers only buy products if they are satisfied. And of course, solutions need to scale up. A better solution can scale, the better it works. And especially in our market, full compliance with regulations is quite important. And actually, we tried to solve all this kind of requirements. And we came up with a solution which is called the Wearable Enablement Platform at G&D. The Wearable Enablement Platform is basically a cloud service platform, and it is basically implementing different things. It is implementing more or less a kind of platform which is enabling a Java card platform which is incorporated in different wearable form factors. And with this, you can issue Java card applications, provision these, personalize these, and manage these. On the left-hand side, you see the service providers. They are connected to the enablement platform. You see token service providers. They are basically connected to the wearable platform. And then you have a kind of, let's say, end user device, could be a mobile phone, could be the desktop workstation. Here we have SDKs, and with this SDKs, it's a kind of bridge you connect basically to your wearable. If this is a smartwatch, if this is a wristband or a fob device or something else, in G&D, we considered all the different form factors here, what you see, smartwatch, wristband, key fob. We have developed own products. We have partnered with companies. In all cases, you have a smart card chip embedded, Java card enabled. We implemented a Java card platform, which is basically able to handle different Java card applications for different use cases, covering mostly payment, mobile payment, and authentication. And everything is more or less managed with this wearable platform in a seamless, very seamless way. So from a user perspective, you will not notice much of the backend side, of the enablement platform side. You have something like, I would say, wallet application on your phone. With the wallet application, you can manage the credentials, manage the applications on the different variable form factors. This is basically what the user is, what for the user is visible, and everything else is under the hood. Even for the service providers, they have the requirements. They say they would like to have this application on this wearable devices. More or less, it's seamless for the service providers, so they have basically needs for the customer profile, but at the end of the day, it is somehow getting in a transaction with a token service provider or with the authentication platform, where the service provider is not directly involved. So basically, this is a little bit the outlook, how the enablement platform, variable enablement platform of G&D is working in a high level. We will make later a deep dive on how this is technically working. I have some reference cases. So one of the reference case is SwatchPay. So G&D helped the company Swatch to implement a mobile payment solution on their watches. I would not say it's a smartwatch, it's a normal watch, but there is a smart card chip embedded with Java card platform from G&D. And basically, with this, you can perform payments. You have an app, and with this app, you can basically provision the watch with payment credentials, and then you can go shopping wherever EMB payment terminals are existing. You can use this watch to pay. As you can see on the picture, we have used the variable enablement platform of G&D. This is linked to the app. With the app, you can basically personalize the watch. Usually it is happening in Swatch stores. So you have basically something like reader devices on the Swatch shops where you can tap the watch for the personalization. And you can also use the app directly by tapping the watch to the phone. There are two different ways to personalize, and we are basically linked with token service providers in order to issue the credentials. And whatever the customer has on credit card, he can basically tokenize the credit card to the watch. Then we have another reference case, it's basically the passive wristband. It's basically a G&D own developed product. It's a passive band with a Java card platform embedded in a smart card chip. And we offer this for ticketing and mobile payments, tokenized mobile payments. Basically, all what you saw on the reference case with Swatch is possible here. We have a couple of customers using this already for ticketing, also in the transit area. And this is basically a quite nice product, given that it's simple, it's easy, and you have utilized all the use cases for the end user if it comes to payment, ticketing, and even authentication. We have a couple of projects where we use a FIDO applet on the band, and with a simple tap, you can authenticate towards the workstation, towards the phone, towards the server. So basically, this is another interesting product, and the demand in the market is extremely rising. Then we have another very nice product in G&D, what we have developed with our wearable platform. It's the biometric key fob. It's basically a kind of token device with a fingerprint sensor on the top side, and there's a little battery inside. You can switch on the device, and then you have NFC, and beside NFC you have also Bluetooth and USB. You get some LED connection, LED indications on the front. And basically with this device, you can do physical access, you can payments, you can do authentication, encryption, basically more or less all use cases what we have in an enterprise scenario and also in a mobile payment scenario. This device is basically enabled with our wearable platform, so we can load applications, Java card applications on the web and enable many use cases with this. We have a reference case on the key fob device. So with NatWest, a customer of G&D, we made a pilot project in England where we actually used the key fob for payments. And basically the test users were able to load the payment credentials on the key fob and were able to pay in the supermarket, in the gas station, and so on. And yeah, we won 2 awards on the project, Best Design and Best Payment Facility, from the Cards and Payment Award in 2021. And it was quite a nice project with a really good feedback from the test users. And basically, you can already see from this kind of project how powerful the wearable enablement platform is, and how Java Card how the Java Card platform was able to make it happen. All right, I would like to make now a little bit a deeper dive to how it works. If you're not so familiar with mobile payment as such, I have here a little intro. Mobile payment is basically a kind of, I would say, virtualization of your real credit card to a virtual credit card, which is loaded on, let's say, the form factor like the wearable. And we call it in the market tokenization. So what is happening from a user perspective, you type in your credit card number, let's say in the app, in the wallet app, what you have from the wearable provider. Then you get basically on your wearable a virtual credit card loaded. In the end, it's basically a token which is linked to a credit card, and it has an own token number, which is basically matched in the backend with your real credit card number. And once you have basically your virtual token on the band, you can go to the supermarket, you can touch your band on the POS terminal, payment transaction terminal. So what is happening? The virtual token number is getting sent to a merchant acquirer. The merchant acquirer is checking with the remote token service if this token number is existing and matching to a credit card number. So the credit card number is getting mapped. And if this is basically a credit card number which is existing to this virtual token, the real payment transaction is getting performed with this credit card. And you get a notification as a user. You paid, let's say, 20 euros right now in the supermarket. And basically, with this, you have full tracking information as a user. You know what you have paid now, and everything basically based on the band. Yeah, this is in a nutshell how this is working with mobile payment. And basically, this is pretty much the same what Apple is doing with Apple Pay or Google with Google Pay. So there's not much difference, but the special thing here is we have this done with wearable devices, and basically the benefit here is you don't need a phone, you just have your, let's say, payment wristband, and this is all what you need for your payment. If you go swimming and later to the kiosk to buy something, all what you need is a wristband, nothing more. So basically, this is how tokenization is working with mobile payment. I'm not sure if you're familiar with FIDO. In all our, let's say, wearable platforms, what we offer, there is, beside mobile payment, always also FIDO applet on site. And with the FIDO applet, you can do online authentications with FIDO servers. And FIDO is standard from the FIDO lines, which is already getting developed for a couple of years. I think it started 2012, and more servers are incorporating FIDO as a solution for authentication, like web access or even system access in companies. Basically, the user experience is pretty much the same what you have heard about the payment use case. If you have a FIDO on the wristband, you basically go to a website where you do your registration. During the registration process in the website, you basically you have to present your wristband. This wristband is getting basically linked to your account. In the account creation, a key is getting generated on the wristband. The public key to this key is getting pushed to the website, and this public key is linked to your account. So basically, once the registration is done, next time if you try to log into the website, you have just to present your wristband. The wristband is performing a signature, and the signature is getting validated in your account. And if the signature is valid, you are logged in the website. Pretty seamless. All what you have to do is tapping your wristband to the phone or to the workstation, whatever is basically your login device. The same, of course, with a key fob, with a smartwatch, whatever your wearable form factor is. Finally, the Java card-based FIDO application is performing the transaction in order to get logged into the website. So basically, so far on the FIDO authentication and how we realize this with our wearable platform. And I think it is a quite interesting part how we do the application issuance and personalization before we can do these use cases make happen. So basically, whatever form factor we have always a Java card enabled platform based on a smart card chip and the different form factor. And before we issue the devices to the market, we load the applications on the chip. And we do this usually in the factory at the OEM side. And the OEM is getting scripts from us. The scripts, the special thing here with the scripts are pre-encrypted. So basically, if you have a Java code application and personalization commands, these commands needs to be encrypted. And we have, let's say, a concept which is called decentralized security management. It's a kind of concept what we have defined in global platform. It's in a white paper, and it's based on the amendment A standard of global platform. So we use ECC crypto, and we use a special scheme here in order to have pre-encrypted files, and the Java card platform in the different form factors can decrypt the files and install the packages with the personalization data. What you see here is basically the same if we have applications which we load in the field. We call it not pre-issuance, we call it post-issuance. It's basically the same concept. We have, let's say, already a smartwatch in the field. There's a user having a need for a new use case. The service provider is coming to us, and basically we can make it happen. We can load a further Java card applet on the smartwatch. What is happening with the app the user is using to manage the smartwatch? We have basically a DSM file included, and the DSM file is including Java card applet cap file, including the personalization commands, and it is getting executed with the DSM file. Once the user is clicking an upload button, the smartwatch is getting basically enabled with the new Java card application by loading the Java card cap file, instantiating basically the Java card applet, and loading the personalization data. This is basically a quite beautiful thing. We have implemented this on our different wearable devices and also with the partners. And I can tell you it's working really well, and it's highly secure. And with this, we have pretty much a scheme which is a little bit familiar with an App Store scheme, that we can really load applications in the fields on different devices which are already issued to the customer on request. All right, then basically a small outlook about the technical details of DSM. DSM is based on ECC crypto, as I said, and the special thing with ECC crypto, we compute something like a session key set based on a point operation, and the point operation is done with a private key and a public key, where basically the different key parts are known to the Java card platform and the backend service. So basically, what is happening here with DSM in detail? We pre-compute the session keys, encrypt the file, the DSM file. We know already the key credentials on the smart card chip, and the smart card chip knows the credentials from the corresponding backend service. If it's a point operation, both sides are able to compute the session keys, and the session keys are getting used to encrypt the file and decrypt the DSM file. And with the keys, we can also validate if the file is correct and coming from the right source who are creating the file. So this is basically all what we need to load securely credentials on a Java card platform in the field. Yeah, this is basically, I don't go too much maybe in the details, but this is a little bit how DSM works and how we utilize this to make, let's say, variable use cases happen based on Java card platform by utilizing global platform technologies. All right, yeah, this is so far my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, so I think now it's time to open up the microphones for the Q&A session. I also see that there are already some questions in the chat. And maybe before we start asking questions via the microphone, I read the first questions that came in over the chat. It's from Adam, and he asked, are there any means to fix security bugs in wearables? Backend or mobile app patching can be done, but are there any ways for patching the embedded secure element or its operating system? Or are there ways to certificate revocation stored in it? Do any standards exist or are followed in such a case? So a lot of questions. I just give it to you, Alexander. Maybe you can tell us.
As far as I know, there are initiatives in different standardization organizations to make it happen, to load operating systems in the field. I'm not personally involved in any projects, but I would not be surprised if this is existing already in certain markets. I'm not sure, Timo, if you have more insights to this, but I know there are at least standardization activities in different STOs talking about this.
So in-field update is certainly a topic in many standardization organizations, I think also at Global Platform and others. Yes, I think that's definitely a hot topic, especially if you also look into the future when things like post-quantum cryptography comes or so, there is a need to update the chip operating system on the fly and in the field. Is there any other question?
Here's Stefan from Infineon. So also a general question regarding the secure element. You mean we use a hardware-based solution is preferred, of course. How do you see this in future? Is this still the case, or is it also, let's say, split on not secure element-based solutions? Any insights here?
Yeah, so well, what I have not mentioned, GND is of course offering also this mobile payment platform without SEEK elements, HCE based. But I mean, there are disadvantages. You know, I'm not sure for those who are not so familiar with mobile payments. So if you have basically an HCE based scenario, which is completely software based, mobile payment on a phone without any hardware included, you have a different kind of requirements. For example, the virtual tokens are getting renewed on a regular basis and so on. There's a lot of processing behind. I think if you have a hardware-based solution, you have certain advantages. And I believe it's also a kind of advantage here. You can be a little bit more offline in the sense of you don't have to be connected all the time. And you have really a kind of passive, let's say, wristband with a hardware chip. You can actually use it without being connected all the time and use it for payment, which is counting for the hardware solution. So there will be a kind of market for both software and hardware based.
Thank you for answering this question. There's another question by Adam. Are there any ways to get access to Giesecke and Devrient wearable solution for R&D testing purposes or access to test device or boarding along SDK?
Absolutely, absolutely. Please feel free to reach me out. We can help anyone to make it happen.
Any other question from the audience? You can still enter your questions into the chat box, so I will just read them, or you can just open up your microphone and ask Alexander.
Hi, Halesh here from HID. I'm just curious, which Java card versions are you using in these solutions? And maybe if you know, when will the first products supporting Java Card 3.10 come from GND?
To be frank, I'm not sure about the exact number. It's definitely a 3 number, 3 on the front, but I'm not the Java card. We have a special product manager for the Java card itself. I'm more on the form factor side. I can check, but that's definitely with a 3 on the front.
So maybe a short question from me in between. The wearable market really seems to be very innovative, and new applications that are popping up here and there. So how do you think Java Card technology is really contributing to speed up this innovation, and what can also Java Card Forum do to support new applications with new APIs or new functionality? You know, just recently I saw that you can use a wearable and you can open your Tesla and you can start your Tesla car. So really there's a lot of innovation behind this. So how can we help? How can Java Card Forum help to speed that up?
I think Java card as such is really helping in these scenarios. I mean, we have customers that say, we have a Java card applet, we would like to have it on the wearable. And I would say 99% it's working immediately. It's because we have a kind of platform where we actually have almost a 100% assurance that it is working, any kind of application, any kind of operating system. And this is making a part of the success story. We are sometimes not really involved if it comes to the issuance of the Java card applet to the platform and it's working 100%. I think this compatibility aspect is extremely crucial. And with Java card Forum, we have really done this very well.
Yeah, I read now a question from the chat. So here the question asks, is it possible to use DSEM, so decentralized SE management, for payment card tokenization, or is it only for other kinds of applications?
It's actually open for everything. So DSEM is not linked to a specific form factor, to a specific use case. It can be easily used for everything. The only thing what you need is implementing this amendment A. So there's an extension in the latest versions. This needs to be implemented, but then you can utilize this on every platform for whatever use case.
Thank you. So now I'm waiting for other questions from the chat or directly via microphone from the audience.
Yeah, coming back to the DSEM, is this also currently used outside of payment?
We use it for authentication, yeah. So, for example, what we have not mentioned so far, so we have FIDO, of course, but we have also applications like OTP, PKI, and we have also quite now many projects with physical access, where doors or gates should be opened with a wristband. And sometimes we have devices already in the field, and then we use DSEM to load these applications later in the field to the devices. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any more questions to Alexander? So I also don't see any more questions from the chat. And if there are no more questions, direct questions from the audience, I would say we now close and we come to the end of this Q&A session. Thanks you very much for this good discussions, all who contributed also to this Q&A session now at the end. Again, I want to mention that you will receive links to the slides and recordings in an email soon. And there are more webinars in this JavaCard Forum webinar series. And so make sure you register for it at javacardforum.org. Yeah, it was really a great pleasure to have you here today, Alexander. Thank you very much for those great insights and for the good discussion now at the end. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you so much.
Bye.